We are here for some more Tuesday night ESL Challenger League action in North America. It's Boggs and Pineapple Phillips, second to last week of the regular season. Nate, next week is the last regular season week for North American ECL, for all ECL, really. And we're really winding down to figure out which are going to be our top teams moving into playoffs, but that means every game means that much more.
Yep, every game means that much more. It could mean the difference between starting off in the lower bracket, not qualifying at all for playoffs, or starting off in that upper bracket, all dependent on maybe five or six different seating spots right there in the middle. So a lot relying on these later games to really decide who will start out where. And as I mentioned, that can have tremendous implications on your aspirations and your chances in playoffs, because if you start that lower bracket, you don't have that second option, that backup option if you lose the map. Let's start with the schedule though for this evening, because there are two matches being broadcasted officially. Ours, of course, is Wildcard versus Boss. Over on the B stream, ESL CSB, we do have M80 versus Party Astronauts, two bangers with a lot of top tier to middle top tier teams playing. It is going to be an exciting evening of ECL action.
Yeah, M80 inside that top 20 at rank 19 in the world as of yesterday. Wildcard took a series against Koi at Pro League. Party Astronauts and Boss both going through roster changes, more recently on the Party Astronauts side. But it's going to be two good matchups. I think there's more intrigue with the one we have, though, especially given Wildcard's recent form in the past couple of days since they returned from EPL. I think that's going to be something to keep an eye on moving forward. We'll break that down a little bit more. Let's look at the standings, though, see where these two teams settle. And Wildcard have had a stellar season. They played at Pro League, and they're on pace to get back there again, sitting at second place in the regular season, 18-4. And for Boss, they're just inside that top 8 right now, which is not exactly the best place to be, but it's playoffs, and given the fact that Boss have essentially been constantly rebuilding since about season 46, it's not a bad place to be.
Nope, that means they'll soften that lower bracket because seeds 6 through 10 start there, if I'm not mistaken, or is it 7 through 10? It's something like that.
7 through 10.
7 through 10. So still down there, but you know what? Qualifying, as I mentioned, when you've been struggling for so long, I'm honestly surprised this team is just still together under the same name and with the same core, because they have been battered down time and again. So 11-11 is okay in terms of record. Tonight's going to be a rough matchup. And as we mentioned in the start of the show, the teams that are playing these last couple games to really figure out their seeding, I'm looking at M80 to see where they end up. They're at 17-1. They have only 18 games played. I believe you played 22 or 24 in the season.
24, I think.
They could very well escape with the number 1 seed as they wrap up these last couple of best of ones.
Yeah, they have a couple of matchups tonight. They had a matchup against Nouns, excuse me, not Maus. That was over in EPL. And then against Party Astronauts is on the schedule. But if you want to have your shot at playing in ESL Challenger League, it all starts with Open. And the registration for ESEA Season 51 closes tomorrow, Wednesday, October 2nd at 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's 8 a.m. Pacific. So if you want your last shot at registering for this season of Open, get in there now. Get yourself some league pass. It's the best way to do it. And squad up with the friends, or find yourself a team. And Nate, I've never regretted playing a season of Open. I've never regretted the time spent in the server with the friends and the boys, and it's always a good time.
Yeah, no one ever regrets it. And of course, if you're watching this live, go and register tonight. It closes at 11 a.m. tomorrow, not p.m. Don't rely on your alarm to save you. If you're on the Pacific, the West Coast specifically, make sure you register now, because that is an 8 a.m. close time, and no one wants to be up that early. It's a weekday, but you definitely don't have to log into your computer before work or before you're going to sign up with some friends. But we're going to circle back to our actual game. It is, again, Wildcard versus Boss, and we have split our decisions. Boss is my decision, of course. Number 1 Boss fan, always have been, always will be. Boggs going for Wildcard. It is probably the safer of the two choices given these teams' recent performances, but as Boggs hinted at, this might be a closer game than one would expect.
Yeah, our producer can attest, it took me a very long time to decide how I wanted this to go, and I based my decision predicting that you would predict Boss. And the reason I say that is I think there's a very reasonable possibility that this splits 1-1. since it is not a best of 3, since it is 2 individual best of 1s, you can have 2 different winners. They can split the difference, each leave with a game apiece. And I think that that is a very reasonable possibility out of this matchup between Wildcard and Boss here. And I say that because Wildcard has not looked great since they returned from Pro League. Our player to watch, though, is going to be Sonic, who's been rifling out of his mind for this Wildcard team. And that's a very good thing for them to have both Sonic and JBA performing at such a high level individually. I think the slower pace from Susp is a bit of a concerning point for Wildcard, and Fozy not exactly as consistent as they would like, but having 2 stellar riflers, a 1-2 combo between Sonic and JBA, is going to be a fantastic thing to watch.
Yes, it is. And circling back to what you said, where they're looking a little bit more mortal than they normally do in the North American scene, likely caused by just a stint at Pro League. That's a long time away from home in a whole new environment, figuring out how to play. They honestly did pretty well by most metrics for what you would expect from a team like this. It's still relatively new. But as you mentioned, since coming home, they have struggled. They lost both of their best of 1s versus NRG in this season of ECL. They lost versus Legacy and failed to qualify for ESL Challenger Katowice in a 2-1 fashion after beating them earlier a close qualifier. So this wildcard is struggling a little bit against domestic competition. That gives a hungry team, I'm going to call them a young team, even though at this point they really aren't. A young team, a new team like Boss could really give them a surprise, give them a shock, given the map that we're going to play. And speaking of, let's get into the veto for this first best of 1. Boss is going to ban first. It makes sense. Wildcard have their choice of first or second. In this kind of format, you always go for Team B. So Wildcard goes second. In front of the ban of Boss makes sense. Not their greatest map, but a great map for Wildcard. Mirage and Nuke removed by Wildcard makes sense. Mirage is their best map. Nuke, they're not the best on. And while Boss aren't great on it, they really do like to at least try to play the map. Dust 2 and Anubis taken out by Boss makes sense as well. Dust 2 is a map that's not too bad for them, but it's also a map that's very stellar for Wildcard. Makes sense. Given the choice between Vertigo and Ancient, Wildcard elect to send us off to the ruins in South America.
And if I'm Boss, I'm debating playing over on Dust 2. I think what really kept them away from it is the fact that they've lost to Wildcard before on the map in recent times, and the fact that they haven't played it half as much as they played Ancient. They played Ancient 10 times, Dust 2 4 times. While Wildcard do possess a 17-7 record, it's been a little shaky as of late. A 1-1 record against Legacy in the Katowice qualifier over the weekend, a loss to NRG recently as well, and 3D Max. A tenuous win over Koi at Pro League. Boss is thinking maybe that's where they will find a weakness to exploit, and predicting that as the better of the 2 options between Dust 2 and Ancient. I would have not minded a Dust 2 pick in from Boss here. Let Slight get into the game with his op. Ancient, you can have a good opping prowess, but it's not as open and fluid as Dust 2.
No, it's not. And you mentioned Dust 2 and Nuke being those 2 maps they played in the last head-to-head they had. That was in late August for the RMR qualifier, and that was Dust 2 and Nuke. It was a 2-0 for Wildcard, 13-7, 13-11. So looking at Nuke specifically, that was a very close engagement. Makes sense as to why they would ban it, not wanting to play it in this best of 1 or the next spoiler. I'm going to put that out there now. So across the board, veto makes sense. Ancient is a map that they should be heavily favored on, but it's also a map that Boss were really hot on, especially when it was still a lot newer to the map pool. The record's not as stellar as it was at 6-4, far more humble. I believe it's the map that they have the best record on. Yes, it is. It's their second most played map as well. No, it might be their first most played map. It is by 1 when compared to Nuke. So given the veto, I think this is one of the best case scenarios for Boss.
Yeah, it's not a bad veto for Boss. It's not a great veto for Boss, but considering how their map pool matches up with Wildcard, it's probably there as the best case scenario. That Dust 2 pick was just me theory crafting a possible curveball and trying to big brain a veto process and thinking maybe that would be an interesting, pardon the phrase, Wildcard pick for Boss. But, you know, one of those little spanner in the works, unexpected map pool picks, which how many times do those actually work though too? That's the other thing. On the other side of that coin, how many times teams try to get cheeky and they big brain themselves and outplay themselves in the veto process? So I'm curious to see how Ancient goes down. I'm very curious to see how Boss stacks up against a wildcard team that has looked a little vulnerable as of late. And I'm expecting a little bit more out of a couple of players on this Boss team. And I almost said wildcard because Boss was under the wildcard organization a while ago before this new roster was picked up. There's a whole saga that goes back there too. So there's a little bit of a chip on the shoulder for the Boss core coming into these matchups against this organization as well. But I want to see a lot more out of Slight and Fruit Cup in particular. They need to be strong for Boss if they're going to take this opening best of one of Ancient. As we hop in here, Nate, it's Boss on the T side, double flash, double smoke. Freshie and Slight holding on to those. And there's a kit for Fozy, a smoke for him as well. No dual Berettas for Wildcard, interestingly enough. And a fast contact play in towards Jaguar. 1-for-1 trade on the Stanislaw as Susp has backup in towards Cave. 1-for-1s again through the Cave side.
Full 5 stack on B.
Oh my god, he did full 5 stack it. And Freshie might just ruin it. He spotted all 3. Freshie, you saw the guy. And Cubby, it's all dead. Slight and Sonic on the last bullet in the magazine hits the headshot to save the round for Wildcard. And their 5-man stack almost bowled over by one 3-man cave push.
That is a chaotic and hectic round, and what I want to see out of this map, again, both teams very well versed on it, most played map for both these teams, and it's already starting with some fireworks and theatrics, individuals popping off, both Sonic and Freshie finding a pair, but it's the team play that's really going to be what makes this game exciting and spectacular. Boss unable to get the bomb plant. Of course, Freshie saw that player, but in the chaos, in the craziness, wasn't realizing that he saw the player and was caught. Boss now going for a smoke plant, and it's going to work out. They're going to get the bomb down, which was objective number 1. At this point, if they get a kill, it's just icing on top of the cake. It won't go their way. Defuse will come through, but the bomb plant is all they were after. It was straight Glocks, maybe a flashbang. And a bomb plant will give them AKs, good utility, and armor going into round number 3. Very quick, explosive rounds early from Boss, but every round has a very clear and intended purpose. This is a very scary Boss coming out early.
Yeah, Boss are playing aggressive, they're playing hard, and they are out of the gate fast, yet to put a round on the board, but narrowly just losing the round on the pistol, up against a 5-man stack, getting the bomb plant down in the smoke in the last round, also a very good sign. Now, if they fall flat on this gun round, maybe then we start saying the eye test isn't enough. But for right now, Boss are passing the eye test early. They just have to start actually getting rounds on the board. And the other thing is, too, if you're coming close and yet coming up short, it can discourage you more significantly than being just completely shut down. Because you're like, we're doing the right things and we just still can't win, which can get, honestly, much more frustrating than trying to mix things up playbook-wise. Sonic up on Snake, might just catch Cryptic off. He's made noise. Darty there to try and keep him alive. Slide around the corner as well. Good flashbang for Sonic, though, as JBA enables him to push, and this little 1-2 punch will work for another kill. 2-for-1. Slight takes a dink on that, and Sonic's still alive for a moment before Freshie's able to trade. And now the Jaguar player in Susp has revealed his position too, allowing Fruit Cup to zero in on his position, moving up the B ramp. Fozy and Susp, though, the Swedish duo, might converge upon Fruit Cup's position. A lot of games within games right now. The bomb's still outside of B main on the T side of things. And Fruit Cup spots out Susp. Does a lot of damage. Does not see Fozy yet, but the Molotov forces Susp in towards a cave connection. And Slight's right here. 2 low HP players, but the AK should win the fight if it comes down to it.
Should is the key word. The MP9 shoots very quickly. There's 2 diametrically opposed angles you have to worry about. Slight on the spam, however, drops Fozy. That was a very quick and well play to spam the wall. 15 seconds left, though, and Susp in cave, despite being low HP, still chimes in for 1. Fruit Cup grabs the bomb, falls away. 10 seconds left, the time is of the essence. The MP9s are closing the distance. They stop the plant, and now the player in the corner, Slight, has to do it all. He's found one, but can't plant the bomb. He's going for the fight, and Susp is already long gone. Wildcard steal away the first rifle round in a 1-versus-1 off of time. Boss just a little bit too slow in executing their game plan. But again, it's still looking okay from them. The play is still quite good, all things considered.
Very good, all things considered, but again, doing everything right and yet still coming up short. Boss's B take is close. It's coming down to the wire. They're just not able to get it over the finish line. And that's a concerning point of view as well, because yes, they're doing everything right. But still, when it comes down to the final hurdle, they fall. They move away from B in this round, beginning to work their way towards the A site.
It's forced by as well. But on the saved rifle. Deagle, Galil's, Mac-10. It's okay, honestly. Can definitely work out. It's a lot on this JBA fight, though. Yeah, spotted, Molotov. They're not going to force the issue. And he actually went over. I thought it was a flub. That's a very cheeky piece of kit. Op is in play for Fozy as well. This is a disciplined hold from Wildcard. Playing far back, giving space, knowing it's a compromised investment. And knowing that Boss have to clear things the old-fashioned way because they don't have cash for utility. Already. Donut, spotted by the upper foe. Second player in main, almost caught. It's Cryptic to get some space, though, and get one in return, but JBA is still slinking around the site. A double onto Cryptic and Slight. 2 found. Fruit Cup and Freshie, the final pair. Freshie greedily upgrades to the op, and the timing couldn't have been more shambolic. He's found. Stan drops Fruit Cup. It's a 4-0 start for Wildcard. Very solid on their CT side. Both teams favor the CT side, might I add. And Fruit Cup, when he was first picked up, had a very solid start. However, he's really cooled off as of late and is struggling to get started in this matchup.
Yeah, and Boss as a whole are struggling to get started. Yes, signs of positivity, good things happening. But they didn't get a positive result overall out of these rounds. And it's going to start weighing on the minds of Boss and the mind of Cryptic in particular, the IGL. Because he's going to be thinking, what else can I do? What else will work? The game plan is not working out well enough. As the Pistols are going to go 2 for 1. JBA, that's a duel he has to win. Darty at range with a Tech 9. Looking for a third. Spots out a deep push and Susp. That's going to spring rotations and the right read from Boss about the A rotate. But Fozy still quicker on the draw. Deals with Freshie. And that will mean Slight on the glass cannon rifle. He has no armor behind that M4. We'll get the bomb down. Do whatever damage he can. Knows there's somebody coming Donut. And this is a pretty awkward spot. He's been spotted by Stanislaw as well. All Stan has to do is wait for his teammates to come in and stab Slight in the back. One way or another, Slight is going to be found. And as you can see, his head on a swivel, one way then the other. No way he's getting out of that fight. And there's a 5-0 start for Wildcard on that CT side. Yes, they favor it, but 5-0 is a pretty tough deficit to overcome for Boss if they want to keep this close. They have to win 5 of the next 7 reasonably. If they get 4, maybe there's still a closer chance, but the pistol round becomes that much more important, and this is a necessary timeout here for Boss.
Yep, a very good, well-timed timeout as well. Going into a full rifle buy. They've got some good reads, they've gotten good information, and they know about Wildcard's tendencies, at least to an extent. Now, how do you want to position your op of Slight? Do you want it to go middle? Do you want it to go catwalk? Do you want it to peek B early, perhaps? Do you want to try to go for the Opera's duel as soon as possible? There's a lot of questions that Boss are definitely trying to address in this tac pause. The question is, do they go back to their perceived bread and butter of B, or do they spread out for a more balanced default like they did in the half-buy round prior? So see Op going towards B, though. Replay's going towards B as well. Snake controls the name of the game. Smoke top Snake tells me they're going to go for a B ramp play, perhaps, or maybe a cave peek. Spam is so good. The Op gets the leg shot, but not the kill, and things fall apart quickly for Boss as Cryptic boosted only gets 1, and his teammate is the trade. Boss really changed things up, tried to go for something different, but Wildcard were 1 step ahead of them, cutting them off before they could even take peaks proper. That spam is absolutely brutal to start off the round. This is still recoverable for Boss, but Need to get the bomb. They need to group up. There is plenty of time to do so, so don't count them out just yet.
It is still winnable, but winning a clean fight against Stanislaw is objective number one. They're reading it well. They're clearing out the cubby. Never mind, they're not clearing out the cubby. Oh, no, that's a good shot from Fruit Cup. They don't expect Susp around towards long, and Susp will not be topped. He'll finish both with a headshot. And 6-0 the start now for Wildcard. And that was my concern, Nate. Was Boss trying to do something different that drastically changes everything and just gets completely outclassed? That's going to be a lot more pressure on Cryptic here. And this T side is hanging on by a thread, if you could even say that. It's about to be obliterated here. 6-0 already the start for Wildcard, and a force buy from Boss. They have rifles. The utility's not the worst, but a couple of Galils in hand. Meanwhile, Wildcard do have players low on money. Susp has a lot, but nobody else really does. That's a good opening fight, though. That fight bottom middle can start a positive snowball for Boss as they have their first untraded man advantage in the entire game.
Much needed one as well. Swift opportunity for Darty, however. Just some damage onto JBA. There, of course, was expected. Free fires there, but not connecting. Slight was one bullet away from death, and he escapes. Fozy finally drops him from Dona. Cryptic isn't able to trade. So it was a man advantage. It's taken away from them by the aggression of Wildcard. Again, I keep praising Boss's strategy because I am the #1 Boss fan. However, Wildcard are truly outclassing, as you put it. Their utility's good, their reads are good, their intuition is unrivaled, and they're hitting shots at a different level, plainly put. I'm going to harken back to that spam on the cross early on at least 2 more times in this broadcast because that spam was disgusting.
That was all but flawless. That was beautiful.
All 3 grouping up B for a split. Good start for Cryptic. Smoke off for the 2 on short. But Susp does get 1 as it blooms. It's Fruit Cup taken down. Cryptic tagged down quite low as well by spam through the aforementioned smoke.
All they have is a molly for util.
Drop to Susp on low HP. I'm trying to take point. He's caught. Good trade from Fozy. And a good combined fire from both him and JBA. Solid spacing from Wildcard. They again take the round. They again leave Boss with nothing in terms of rounds. But the loss bonus combined with the bomb plant means that there can at least be AKs once more on the board for Boss.
And there's a couple glaring issues right now for Boss. 1, no one yet anywhere near double digits. 2, 3 players on 3 kills, and Fruit Cup 1 and 7. The way you put it, Wildcard out-aiming them on a whole completely different level kind of sums up how it's been for Boss. Because their reads haven't been worse, generally. There's been 1 or 2 mistakes here, 1 or 2 clears that probably should have been done a little bit better. But for the vast majority of this game, Boss has been making the right reads, making the right plays. They're doing everything but finishing the kills. And at this point, Boss cannot be feeling confident anymore. And I'm hoping that they are not losing confidence in the game plan, because the game plan is solid. The game plan, what they came into this map with an idea to do on the T side, has been very, very good. It's just they haven't been able to click heads, essentially, if you want to put it into the simplest of terms. With this B tank, everything's looking great. Although Darty just walks through a Molotov, doesn't quite get the finishing blow. That's a good idea. Again, this duel in Cave, another duel that needs to be won by Boss. They're just coming up shy. 11 HP, 17 HP. That's a clean win onto Slight, which is a good one for Wildcard. The bomb's not going to be able to go down here anytime soon. A very aggressive fight with Freshie, but they had to do something. Sonic will double up there. But for Boss, it's just tumbling out of control. The cascade is flowing in Wildcard's favor, and this half for Boss can both end very quickly, and hopefully for them, at the same time, they don't want it to end quickly because that scoreline is going to get very bad before it ends.
Yes, it is. Now, I did do a pregame interview prior to this game, Boss.
What did
I did ask
Freshwood
Freshie
say?
if they would win. He said yes. That's all I got.
Okay. On that note, how many times have you asked Freshie that, and how many times has he said no?
0. And a lot. Well, I've asked him a lot, and he's never said he's going to lose it. So.
Unreliable narrator.
It's kind of a, asking a person if they're going to lose a game or not.
Oh, I know. I know.
Don't come in with that mentality. Again, Boss, they have the reads. The spacing isn't the best in aim. See what Fruko can do in the cross. Maybe someone else instead. Darty point. Take it down. Combined fires.
I spent half HP after all that.
I'm not sure. Bitter end for the Boss team. Tactical timeout 2 used going into a rifle round makes sense. We've seen a lot of different looks from Boss, but no look has gotten them past the barrier that is Wildcard. Here we go for an op. You can see Slight is contemplating. Good, but he can forego utility.
It might be worth it at this point.
He struggled with it last time he had it. He had it once before, and he legged Stanislaw in Cave, or in Jaguar.
It's hard on the T side.
It's hard on the T side. And I liked the aggression from it, but of course, as I mentioned, didn't quite connect. Slight, no helmet. We'll get utility that way instead. Does have the op to challenge Fozy and co. What's the look we're going to see from Boss this time?
Boost the op towards B, see if we can get a pick quick. That's going to be my guess here. A little bit of nade damage taken. Where is that op? What is it doing? Very aggressive from JBA down middle. Sonic kind of backing off and keeping an eye on Snake, but letting JBA do the brunt of the heavy lifting. Sonic now coming in, supporting for one onto Cryptic. Stanislaus slips behind that smoke. Will he be watched for? Susp is down B ramp as well. The op sees nothing. It runs through blind, and that's a freebie for Susp. Fruit Cup tries to trade, and he is successful, but do they expect Stanislaus right around the corner? Smoke fade. 3-1. Not the second, but he did get some more chip damage. JBA, flash telegraph. Doesn't clear the corner, focuses up on Snake, and Fruit Cup now in a 1 versus 3 as Boss about to go down 10-0. Everything just collapsing for Boss now, despite that, I want to say positive start, even though they didn't get around to the board in those first 3 or 4. But at this point, the playbook's gone out the window, and players are just trying to fight.
Players are trying to fight. Trying to get that individual confidence up. I hate to say right off a map at this stage, but when it's 0-10, sometimes it's the brutal reality. Slight racing top cat. It's going to peek middle early, but it has been abandoned by Wildcard, who are showing us a different look. Okay, you can't win. You can't win. Not with this. Sonic just spamming the mid-smoke beheads someone dropping cat. Boss are getting bullied and battered in a borderline supernatural way. Timing has done them in multiple times.
Smoke spams, too. The mid reads, because it's not just Sonic who's playing in-house, too. Fozy's done it, JBA's done it, Stanislaus done it, Freshie's going to get dry peeked and destroyed. At this point, Boss are prepping for Vertigo. This map's toast.
You spoiled it.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
Oh well, Fozy's going to go off for a
it's also
masterclass
on
anyway.
HLTV, it's fine.
I know it's already out there for those who want it, but we have a whole segment devoted to it. But that's an aside. Nice little op clip from Fozy. Couldn't have come at a more relaxed time from the broadcasters. But again, this map has probably been relaxed for the most part from Wildcard, who have had no contest.
Yeah. Also, I mean, Fozy got peaked 1 by 1 there. If he doesn't hit those shots, I'd be disappointed in him. He's a very capable opper.
Sonic has also managed to tie for top Frank. Tied Susp. Boss are on Galil's and a Mac 10. And JBA's back to his normal stomping grounds in middle with Sonic side. They don't clear this angle again. They get one, but JBA gets two, and definitely a third as Freshy's here with no rifle. Slight will get the trade, but 3 kills for JBA. In an overlooked angle. Posey peeking up, perfect timing on the Slight. Just Fruit Cup to try and get a round on the board. Bomb down middle, 3 against him. Given how this has gone, this round is a dream for him, at most. Clear Jaguar, he'll bide his time. 55 seconds left, still plenty of it. But it's only a matter of time before he walks into the jaws of one of these 3 players. Up in middle appears to be where he will go. Walks into the crosshair. 12-0, flawless start for Wildcard as we hit the halftime break. Difficult doesn't do the situation justice for Boss as they are down 12-0 as they enter the pistol round of this second half. But I have a feeling this game is already over halfway done. It's Pineapple Phillips and Boggs on the mic, and Wildcard to try to put this away in flawless fashion. Straight race out middle. All 5 are here for this rat race. Cryptic taken down to 17 to start things off. He'll fall away very quickly to Red Room. These USPs are being played to their maximal optimal ranges, but the shots just simply are not landing. Sonic, the man at the helm, falls finally for Cup, the newest addition, trying to put up a hold, a front. But Fozy is the one to put them down. Slight, a 1v2, and he is caught by the very same Fozy, tripling down, 13-3 for him, and a 13-0 for Wildcard as they make this first map a quick one.
That was a roughly 26-minute map, Nate. That is...
It's even shorter, actually, because we didn't start until like 6:01, 6:02.
Yeah, and we had the 3-minute break. So, oh, boss. It looked so good at the start. And I wanted to be wrong about my guess about if things were coming so close yet not working out, things would utterly collapse. Unfortunately, they collapsed for boss. Sonic had a great game, but who on Wildcard didn't have a game something akin to this? 107.23 ADR, 2.33 kill death ratio, 14 and 6, only 2 assists, finishing off the bulk of his damage. And how many smoke spams did we see from Sonic that were just either shy of lethal or perfectly so?
Saw like 2 or 3 at least from him. We saw the wall bang spam for both teams, but it connected more impactfully for Wildcard, I would say. And as you mentioned, Boss had a good look. They had a good pace. They played relatively together. The spacing wasn't perfect, but the biggest glaring issue to me was that the individuals were not here. They did not wake up. They were not ready to contend with the international talent that is Wildcard. The question is, can Boss turn the engine on and get things started on map 2? Or will they flounder and fail in this second best of 1? We're going to take a brief break. When we return, we will have the pre-game show for the second best of 1 on the evening between these two teams. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It was a quick and rough first map for Boss against Wildcard, 13-0 on Ancient, but they're looking to regroup and prepare for what will be, hopefully, a more contentious second map. It's Pineapple Phillips and Boggs on the mic. Boggs, what are your thoughts going into the second map, having seen the first?
For Wildcard, keep doing what you're doing. For Boss, click heads. Just shoot back better. That's all they really need to do different to actually have some success. And if they need to get success early too. If they don't get success in the first few rounds, they're just going to collapse like they did in the last map, because that mental damage is going to stack and be multiplied exponentially without any form of success going into the early rounds of this second map. And overall, Nate, for Boss, it's just rough.
It is rough. Let's get into the vetoes for the second map. It's going to look a lot like the vetoes from the first, except, of course, that first ban for Boss is being taken away and replaced by Ancient, so we don't get the same exact series. Of course, Mirage Nuke banned by Wildcard makes sense. Inferno Dust 2, those were the bans, first and second bans from Boss, now shifted down a ways. Given the option between Anubis and Vertigo, we go off to Vertigo, which is an interesting call. It's a map that both teams do play okay. 4-0 record for Wildcard, 4-3 for Boss. But they really do struggle on that T side when compared to their adversaries. Wildcard should have a hefty advantage. Again, you put it best. Both teams seem sound tactically. Their spacing's pretty good. I would say Boss focus on the spacing a little bit more, perhaps. Focus on the team play a little bit more, perhaps. But their idea and their game plan is solid. They really just need to hit heads. That was the difference between these two teams, because that first map was still entertaining, even if it did fall apart and it was a 13-0. It was still entertaining because it was two teams with very clear strategies in mind.
Yeah, there was a game plan for Boss. They relatively followed it up until the end. There was an idea. There was a method to the madness. It was a more simplified form of Counter-Strike, but the utility was there, the spacings, the timings. It was all there as they should be doing it. They were still following everything as they should, but they just couldn't get the kills that they needed to open up the space to make the strategy successful. And that's going to be a big problem for them if they cannot fix that issue. And for Wildcard, they had some great spams. You got to chalk that up and just kind of move on if you're Boss. Just, okay, they had that, cool, whatever. Maybe don't put yourself in that position at that timing. Alternate the timings a little bit more, because I feel like a lot of those spams, especially in middle, were all due to timing plays that Wildcard were ready for.
Yeah, it was the spam middle. It was the spam through the wall on B as well to find an opening. I think it was that was in the first or second rifle round as well, to add insult to injury, right when they had a strategy in mind and a game plan to go for. We are heading into the second map of Vertigo, the 51st floor. Wildcard, it appears they won both knife rounds, because on both maps they start on the CT side. That is a very non-trivial advantage. Worked wonders on Ancient. It should work wonders here because, again, as I mentioned, the T side of Boss is sub 40% win rate on this map, in spite of their positive record.
Yeah, not a good T side, and Boss need all these CT sides they can get. Also don't have a great pistol round on this map either, 35.7%, so just over 1/3 of the time they win the pistol. So far, not really any damage taken, and Cryptic might be able to get something creeping through the smoke. But the bomb's going to go towards B, and it's leading the charge. Stanislaw and Sonic, 2 heads apiece, maybe a third on the board. No, Sonic falls. Freshie has the bomb, but he is getting converged upon and kind of has to hold the line. All alone, Glock, Dink, Glock lineup. Not a kill, though, and it's all a collapse for Boss. They
no bomb
just
plant.
Can't get the kills.
Can't get the kills. No bomb plant. They're going to be on Glocks again. Round 2 on Ancient was over in the blink of an eye. It was a rush into B with a bomb plant secured. We'll see if that comes through again, or if they'll play a little bit more slowly on this second of Vertigo. Wildcard know it's going to be safe. They're reading into that tendency from the last one, and they're going full SMGs on the CT side. Fozy saving a bit in the bank, not buying utility, presumably so he can farm up some cash and buy an op ASAP. And Boss, not going as quick, but perhaps for a pop play ramp if they hear contact.
Slow train from Boss. They'll move around. And Susp is ready to receive the oncoming kickoff. MP9 up top, gets one, and actually takes a bit, so Susp will have to retreat a little bit more. Grabs the second, he's low on ammo, has to get bailed out by Sonic, who does just that. 3 for Sonic, 2 for Susp, all MP9 kills out of the all MP9 CT side. And for Wildcard, as good of a start, if not better, than they had on Ancient. And if they can shut down the rifle round here from Boss, or cause significant damage, it becomes even more positive for them, because Wildcard have MP9s and utility, and you cannot underestimate the power of the MP9.
Especially not on this map. Close range, almost across the board. A ramp and maybe long range mid if you get there are your only 2 really long range engagements. Everything else is kind of niche, angle related. Has to be very specifically peaked. So the MP9s will thrive in this situation. I have no doubt Wildcard will play them to their maximal effect. Boss walking up ramp, slowly getting control. They're lacking a bit of utility. That's because they didn't get the bomb plant in round 2 like they did on that first map of Ancient. But it's 4 AKs and a selfless Galil from Freshie. Minute 10. Have control. Will throw their execute as well. Fozy getting ready with a nade to prevent or at least hurt the bomb planter. Boss are kind of dawdling, sitting. They throw their exec utility. Now they're just on the ramp, biding their time, hoping that someone probes for information. Not the look I want to see from a proactive T side.
The whole game plan was dependent on the MP9s taking the initiative. And now that they do, Cryptic's going to farm too. But still, Boss are slow to move to the side proper. The smokes will fade. There's only one left for Darty. A flash as well. Fruit Cup finally advancing and getting the bomb down. Boss holding here. Wildcard, there's not really a reason to save. Go do what damage you can, and if you can grab an AK, maybe it spirals out into more. Slight and... oh, Slight with 2. Fruit Cup with the last. Only 1 falls. That's Slight. I thought Slight was going to go 1 for 1 on that little elevator engagement, but he wins both duels, and for the first time in these 2 best of 1s, Boss get on the board. And now with Wildcard coming at it with their rifle pie, it's going to be limited because JBA wants all that utility. Stanislaw will only have a smoke and a flash unless JBA drops some to him or somebody else on the roster. There's only 1 kit and 2 players sans helmets up against AKs. It's not going to matter too much. But an opportunity for Boss here.
Helmet should have been given up. Fozy can drop his, get a little bit of extra utility. Same for Susp. Or they can go for kits. We have one in play, as you mentioned, on JBA. Don't need helmets. You know they're going to be on AKs across the board. If not, maybe have an op in play. Maybe. That's a big maybe. So you should be paranoid. Wildcard. Spams and Sus. Good for first. Walk up middle almost works on a timing for Freshie. We were talking in the green room about him not really lurking. Looks like he's back to his old antics, at least on Vertigo. Didn't quite find the timing, though, as he was felled by Fozy. Stanislaw, very niche angle towards Sidehall. Catches Darty's shoulder. He's shut down before he can do anything. Cryptic behind him, smoked off, stymied from any further aggression. Fruit Cup will group up towards A, but in a 2 versus 5, what can a pair of AK really do? Answers struggle. JBA got the spot. That was the bomb as well that he noted. Not looking good for Boss in round 4.
No, it's looking the opposite of good for Boston in round 4. They're just walking into angles and getting picked off. And while we saw a good game plan for them on Ancient, Vertigo looks like they've achieved a little bit of the status ailment. It's just unsure, unstructured, and all around flat. 1 kill, not really worth much at all. And no bomb plant means Boss are going to have to force into this, be lacking for firepower and utility. Freshy's on a Tech 9, which he'll downgrade to a P250. I'm very concerned right now for Boss.
As am I.
All the promise from last map, gone.
Yeah, granted, it's Vertigo. It's a lot more dawdling, a lot less map. But I am concerned as well. I think there should be more proactivity, more splits perhaps.
Or at least if you're going to peek an angle, buddy peek. If you don't have utility, like just dry peeking angles is not going to work against Wildcard. It's definitely not going to work at the RMR.
No, these two could face off at the RMR.
Mm-hmm. My point.
It'll be good practice for them. Rude Awakening. Stanislaw up close. The first at bat finds one side. A good trade. It's the combined power of numbers to get the inroads for Boss as they get 2 kills in response. Fruit Cup and Slight tagged relatively low. Fozy at side hall might not be expected. Freshy's actually holding it. Never mind. He is expected. The question is, will there be a shot? Freshy, there is a good flick. Shot connected. 2 versus 4 for Sonic and Susp. CT's getting a little bit too aggressive for their own good. Looks like a save is already going to be the call. Both heading towards B. Both know it's likely going to be an A play.
I like the cutout here.
Pretty unintentionally hunting. Caught on the side. Now they go for it. 2 versus 3 is far more manageable, and that gives them a way back in. Good damage on the Slight. Time is now of the essence. 20 seconds left. Fruit Cup finds one, though. That might make Sonic reconsider his situation. He's our player to watch for a reason. Good shot. I thought it was a dink. It was not. Fruit Cup's shot. His aim is better, at least in this scenario. 2 to 3. A second secured for Boss. And infinitely more rounds found in this map than the last.
Yeah, and a Boss player's aim being better is not something we've been able to say throughout the course of these 2 best of 1 so far. So for Boss, that's a more promising round. They take advantage of Wildcard sniffing around, playing a little over aggressive, and Wildcard are going to try to fix their early issues by calling a timeout here. Their money's also in a very awkward spot of MP9 for Fozy, a 5-7 on their captain in Stanislaw. No kit appears to be available either. If I'm Fozy, I'm probably dropping that helmet, getting a kit. Or JBA. Because
we're done with helmets.
If you're... 1, we're done with helmets. 2, if you're going to force, you might as well give yourself a chance. Your chances are significantly limited without a kit. But we have a technical pause now. So things will not start all the way on the conclusion of that wild card attack. Which will give us a little more time to... I don't know if you can really analyze that last round too much. It was pretty much Wildcard trying to fight and establish dominance down B, and they got number diffed.
Down A, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I still get the sites confused on this map sometimes.
Just covering our backs, you know. We say things, we make mistakes more often than not, honestly.
More often than we'd like to admit.
Sometimes they slip under the radar. Sometimes you get cooked in chat. Got to cover it quick.
True that. Thank you for the covering fire, my friend.
We're at war, as are Wildcard and Boss, who have done away with the temporary ceasefire and are ready to butt heads once more. M-Force, a trio. 2 A1Ss, 1 A4. Love the A4 being in play, back in vogue. You mentioned no kit and helmets. A little bit stupefying, but habit. Full AK's T side and Fruit Cup is lurking over towards B. Do we still have that tried and true lurker Freshie in middle? I can't tell on the map.
He's playing deep middle for the push.
I don't hate it either.
It's an anti-pistol play, generally.
That spot definitely tells him there's at least one pistol in play. Stanizal was the one jumping. Dancing as the entry to so much damage, but gets no kills. He spots 3. That should signal a rotation. But Sonic doubling down. Things are going to spiral out of control rather quickly. Slight 1. Rain things back in. Nope, it's a trade from Fozy at range with the MP9. He gets another spot. And so much damage onto Fruit Cup. It's still 2 lurks alone versus what was 3. What was 4, excuse me. Freshie gets a trade onto Fruit Cup. Sonic and Susp, though, still have the main advantage on paper, although Sonic is low. A mid flank is a very interesting call. Neither A nor B, instead going for a proactive rotation down middle. This could catch out Freshie, who has stopped in his tracks and is hoping someone gets aggressive. The issue is the aggression is coming around to the backside, not the front.
Will he check his backside?
Definitely not. He does get around the corner, but he's spotted. Not long for the world at this stage. Sonic should have him. And the smoke. Oh, it doesn't connect. It gives Freshie an opportunity now. He will throw a flash high and get out, but he misses the player. So Susp gets the trade. An awkward duel. And one that very nearly works in Freshie's favor. But a duel lost, and the lead reestablished for Wildcard.
Now, Nate, one thing I have to say, the spacing that you brought up over on Ancient is being highlighted here on Vertigo, especially on those A-ramp takes. That first duel, there's no trade potential. Same thing in the round prior. No trade potential initially on that side hall contact. There needs to be some sort of trade potential on those initial entries. If you have the trade potential for Darty, it's a different round. Wildcard, scale up, they win the round. But because they have to fight from the back foot, it puts everything into a different scenario. And they don't hear Stanislav charging down side hall. One trade there, and Darty, there's a nice double kill. They don't know if Fozy's over towards side. They still expect one more here towards A, and Darty's all alone right now. Finally, teammates are coming to join up with him. And he's looking all over the place. The bomb goes side with a pistol, and Freshie gets 2-tap dirt napped right there. Fruit Cup's lurking out A, though. Or B, excuse me. And this is creating a lot of space for the A players. Do Wildcard expect this play? They don't, and Fruit Cup catches Sus peeking towards middle. Fozy had his eyes somewhere else, not on the prize, and that's going to be a B site rotate from Wildcard for Boss, getting the bomb down as Wildcard. We'll read this well. Fozy makes that Molotov damage, and another 2. Bomb went down here. More damage here against the Wildcard team might entice the CTs to save.
I think it might. Fozy had the read. He was holding the long-range angle towards CT, but as you mentioned, slow on the trigger pull. That gave Fruit Cup, was it Fruit Cup? I believe it was, the window to peek out, get the kill, and slink back.
It was.
2 AKs saved for the CT side. This has been a far scrappier affair for them, though. Their economy is going to be in a rough spot. Sonic might drop an SMG. See what the investment, if there is one, is in round number 8. Darty does not secure an upgrade, stays on the glue. Boss find themselves again within striking distance of a Wildcard.
And Boss are the ones to use a timeout here. Don't seem to be too satisfied with the way that round played out. And I don't hate this timeout from Boss. I feel like there are things they're getting away with right now that they should patch before we get too deep into this T half. They're also almost to that 40% rate, which is above what their statistics say they should be. 37.2 T-side win rate for Boss. They're at about 25 right now. They'll get to 33 if they win one more. And they get to 5. It's a very competent T-side half of this map. They get to 6. That's fantastic. Anything after 5 is really just great. Honestly, I would say 4, and they might have something with a pistol round. 5 just gives them a little more comfort zone to work with. And this buy from Wildcard significantly lacking in utility, especially in the Molotov and smoke departments. Flashes are very low and nades are all expended. 1 kit for Fozy, and there's an M4 and 2 Galils for Bus. 2 players on Wildcard, no helmets. This is the kind of round where the no helmet actually matters.
Yes, it is. Boss. It's 2 Galils, an M4. Could find a potential one-shot headshot. Boss been going for these early leans, early plays. Have an idea in mind from the outset, but it becomes rather one-dimensional and rather easy to read. Wildcard trying to press down the ramp, though. Again, too aggressive for their own good. Sus caught on the stairs. Sonic falling away. It's what's hero AKs. He could do some damage. Also going for a straight contact play. Sonic gets the spot on the first. Clean kill. Watch the second. Falls back. Does not get a second kill. Freshie runs him down. And smokes off CT. These 3 remaining players might just save. They have Kevlar. They have some weapons that could be well used in the next round. Save this round. Save the next. But have some teeth in case the opportunity presents itself. 4-4, Boss tying things up, and as you mentioned, very close to that 5 that would make them more than comfortable on this T side.
Yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing as far as the execution, the final execution is concerned. It's much less strategic and much less structured. But at the end of the day, all that matters for Boss right now is getting rounds on the board and getting out of this with 1 map each. For Boss, if they can get out of this keeping their record at 500, it's fantastic. They went into this at 11-11. They can get out of this at 12-12. Try to stay somewhat at pace with Laser, maybe higher if they can, get lucky. Laser dropped the last 2 maps that they have to play. There's opportunities for Boss here. 5 rounds. Money's still tight for Wildcard. This could turn into a Boss half, and that's where things start to get weird. And this ramp scrim with the op of Slight might just pay some dividends. Stanislav flashed in 1-for-1. Cryptic's there, trying to add more. Losing Fruit Cup might be a bit of a sore spot for Boss, but Stanislav's 10-5 right now, so I'd say that's a pretty good trade.
It is. Again, so much aggression, though, from Wildcard. That gives away one of their rifles. No longer recoverable for Sonic or Susp or JBA, who are all stuck on MP9s and a FAMAS, respectively. 1-for-1, definitely worth it for Boss. More so with that information as a spectator. Another contact play from Boss. They get the kill, the early shenanigans done with. They go for these slow, methodical plays. Wildcard, though, are stacked up to try and get a kill in response. Good flash for the 2 MP9s. JBA and Sonic finally want to pop. Slight gets a trade, and Freshie does as well. 2 versus 2 secured. Still on even footing, still anybody's round, and Fozy still has an AK in hand as well. Off angle played, and he finds the kill onto Freshie, leaving just Slight with an op in hand. He'll grab an AK instead. Smart call. He is on low HP, and that makes things considerably more difficult. 20 seconds left. Time has gotten away from them. They'll have to try and attempt the plant in the smoke, but he's being boxed in on a long thing and a short one. Fozy allows the bomb plant, but gets the kill, and Wildcard reestablish their lead, but at a rather hefty economic cost.
Yeah, only 2 players surviving is not good for Wildcard. They do have AKs, sure, but the reinvestments of JBA and Stanislaw in particular are going to be quite testy. Also, there's a disconnect on the boss side of things. Darty has disconnected from the server, and that is not a tactical timeout. Don't let the HUD fool you. It is a technical pause. So we'll be back into the action. I don't know if we'll need a match medic, but despite the bomb plant, Boss's money is shattered. It's absolutely in tatters. And this is going to open up an opportunity for Wildcard to build a bank, which is huge at this stage right now. So for a Wildcard team that's riding on the edge of a reset, they get an anti-half buy. This is a godsend for the CT side. And for Boss, not exactly a fantastic way to go into round number 10. They'll be looking for a bomb plant and some damage. Expect something fast. Although, considering the fact that they've grouped up for the bulk of their rifle rounds, they might try something a little more split-oriented and segmented. Still a faster play, definitely leans into the pistols and chaos they can sow as they start to charge on through. Darty met by the AK of Sus. Fozy there around as well, but 2 kills come through from Boss. That's not horrible. If they would have gotten a third, that would have been huge, but overall, no fuss, no harm done to Wildcard, generally speaking. And we go into the penultimate of the half with Galils and AKs for Boss. Another reinvestment from Wildcard, who have yet to get the op-out for Fozy throughout the entirety of this CT half of Vertigo. And that just goes to show how back and forth it's been. They haven't been able to afford it.
Haven't been able to afford it, but he's more than holding his own on the rifle. 8 and 5 for himself, 10 for Sonic and Stan. Rifles for Boss are middling. AKs less than ideal for Fruit Cup. Utilities lacking. But they have the firepower. They just need to hit heads.
That's the simplest form of Counter-Strike, Nate. Shoot them before they shoot you.
It's the core key idea of Counter-Strike.
Yeah, if you boil it down to its barest denominators. Will Fruit Cup shoot Fozy before he shoots him? The nade will actually scare both players away. So Fozy will grab a second nade. Darty will eliminate Stanislaw, flashed in by Slight. That's kind of the stuff you want to see from a T side. Flash peaks to get the opening kills. Freshie a duel against Sonic to get a double man advantage. But look at the damage sustained by Boss. Freshie, Fruit Cup, and Darty all under half HP. Darty in one-shot territory. Fozy and JBA still here on A. Nice little pop-up, though, from Darty. Fozy still yet to be revealed. Slight will spot him, but the high ground works for Fozy. He'll drop to the mid-ground, win the next fight, and a third as well! One by one, they peak and fall, leaving Freshie and Fruit Cup wondering what in tarnation happened to the squad, as they have a Molotov and a combined 76 HP to let freedom ring.
Two versus 5 attempt for Fozy and Susp. They went for a gamble stack on B, though, and this is the wrong decision. 15 seconds left. Time is of the essence. They should figure it out soon.
That'll clue him in. Also, that Molotov is ill-timed.
Yes, it is. It hurts Freshie even further. Fozy and Susp will go for this. Fozy is on for a potential ace. Player in heaven, player down ramp. Two very separated T-side individuals. Susp, right idea on the first. Sponsor shadow. That's the kill. Easy one. Fozy in the meanwhile finds Fruit Cup on the ramp. Clean retake from these two, playing separately, but still winning the duels as required. 7-4. Wildcard guarantee the advantage into the second half. Biggest question is, will Boss hit that minimum 5 that we said would make them happy this first half?
The money does not bode well for Boss. They'll have pistols, MAC-10s, maybe a Galil. Or Darty can go for an AK, no util. He'll go Galil with a little bit of util. A more prudent buy. 1 Galil, 3 MAC-10s, a Deagle for Slight. Boss trying to grab a desperate 5th. Fruit Cup is naded, and that Molotov was dropped over, but Fruit Cup will finally pick it up. I was wondering if that would eventually end up in his inventory. Wildcard have settled into the CT side now. They're looking much more confident and composed. And Boss, the one-dimensional Counter-Strike has been read. The duels are working out well. Great support flash from Sonic onto Susp. And now Stanislav's just going to take a dry fight on the flank. He drops down, and Fruit Cup and Cryptic both caught with their pants down proverbially. Of course, wondering how a man got in the back lines. That's the round, essentially.
It's gotta be. Unless there's something wacky and zany from a Deagle on a Mac 10. But it truly does not seem feasible. Bomb isn't even in their control. Walk up ramp from Slight. Should get spotted soon. JBA is holding the cross. There's the spot. Not the kill. Deagle given some opportunities, but eventually he's taken down through the girder the hard way. It's Freshy. He knows where two are. We heard the shots. Leaves with the walk from JBA. The answer is no. 8-4 for Wildcard as we hit the halftime break.
A better half for Boss than the entirety of Ancient, but it still remains a wild card advantage and a hefty one at that. It's Boggs and Pineapple Phillips on the call, and if Boss can't convert the CT pistol round, this one may be over sooner rather than later. Smoke, Decoy, and Molotov for Stanislav. Smoke and Kit for Darty. Fruit Cup here to defend on B. Has some help as well in the form of Darty. Fruit Cup trying to go wild with the spray. Has to get bailed out by Freshie as he falls. Freshie with a pair. Darty with a pair. No bomb plant. And a succinct pistol round victory for Boss means that we might just have ourselves a game of Vertigo.
You might just. This should get them a 6th as well. And then from there, the sky's the limit. Back to within 2.
The upper atmosphere, probably. More realistically.
That's realistic, more scientific, more exacting. But within 2, they would be once more, Boss. We're within 2, touching and going for quite a while. That is an attempt at the jump across. You know what? I don't hate it.
I don't either.
Fun idea. Fun idea. It was 2 of the Glock players doing that. I at least appreciate the attempt. Gumption to go for it. Shows us that Wildcard are having a bit of fun. Boost for Fozy. He has the Deagle. One of the 2. He and JBA picked up those weapons. His shot on the first. Chance to try the exact same thing again and hope for a different result. Even though it's the FAMAS taking the duel. Sonic is felled in the meanwhile. Spot from the MP9 gets the info. FAMAS continues to tap away. Freshie finally finishes Susp. Leaving 2 Deagles. Dead 1. Fozy catches the dropping Fruit Cup. It won't be a flawless anti-eco. But he shouldn't find a second. Not with the ammo running out as it just did. 6 to 8. Boss within 2. Near flawless anti-eco. This is where the going gets tough. This is where the rifles come through. This is where Wildcard are looking to kick it into high gear.
This is where Wildcard looked to get into gear first. They haven't even gotten out of park for this first half, the second half, I should say. And they're going to try and get it ready to rumble early on him. MP9 Fruit Cup. He wants that utility again. I was wondering if he'd go in for a rifle or the MP9. He goes with the latter. Minimal utility for Wildcard. 1 smoke left, a flash, and a Molotov with 140 on the clock. That is a hefty early utility investment for a team that did not possess much in the early going. And this mid control from Boss is actually watched for by Stan as well. The MP9 and the FAMAS, if they go for the peek towards Generator, this will end poorly.
Should
and not
end
for
poorly.
Stan.
Should end poorly.
Stanislaw has been hitting everything.
Yes, it's a very niche angle. It's more so spotting. Sonic comes up to work with Stan. Did find a slight. And Sonic goes to the bait and switch, finds the second. So both players are felled. You are right in your expectation. Swing middle to try and...
What?
Okay, Stanislaw. Laying down the law on 2. Laying down the law on the final 3. In fact, 4 in the round. Very good time to see in chat that someone's calling for his retirement.
I was about to say, well, I hope that person in chat is watching this round, because I don't think Stanislaw wants to go quietly into the good night, right off into the sunset with the end credits rolling behind him. I don't think he's ready to go just yet. That spray down towards middle. Holy
Transfer was insane.
The transfer was beautiful. Look at the buy from Boss.
To lead from the front. Yeah, the buys all over the place. M4s, FAMAS, 5.7, MP9. Wildcard.
Also,
we got a group for just to play towards B.
Look at the kill disparity, too, between Boss and Wildcard. 16, 16, 11, 10, 8, 7. And it's only a 3-round game. There's only 1 player on Boss in double digits. Cryptic's halfway there. No player on Boss is positive, and they're still reasonably within striking distance of this game.
Yes, they are.
Also, JVA at 4 and 8's weird.
It is. He was quiet on the first map as well. Taking a back seat so his old dog can get some frags. I don't hate it necessarily. That first half was quite literally Stanislav running through smokes. So
it was.
Flash out towards A with a fake from Stanislaw. Play towards B with a split from middle is the call. Freshie, first at bat, finds his. JBA misses his jump to scale forward. Now just the smoke to help. 20 seconds remain. Stanislaw good for one. The flank is perfect. Fozy finds one, but Freshie doubles down in return. Final two will push him, but the bomb is down at their feet. Freshie and Cryptic, and they aren't going to let it go. 8 seconds left. Wildcard are playing for the kills. Cryptic finds one, not the second, but Freshie's already long gone. He knew they had no chance. He's on the porta potties. And so Boss steal away the round by virtue of timing and a nice 3K from Freshie.
Yeah, Freshie. Maybe he's an anchor now, Nate, because that was good, solid anchor work from him. Yes, he did have teammates to play off of, but you have to do that as an anchor. And two, the first duel was a dry fight that he won relatively cleanly. And the spray transfer with the FAMAS was also very good. The FAMAS is not a fun gun to use. It's not great. And Freshie made it work for a 3K, a very critical one at that. And Wildcard are going to go all in here, opt for Fozy, AKs across the board. But again, another lack of utility for this Wildcard team who seem content to just say, our aim is better, we are going to try and skill diff you. Meanwhile, Boss have some utility, one kit on Cryptic, a double MP9 pair, and Freshie over towards jump up, drop area right now, waiting to try and shut down a cross. Spots the head of JBA, a bit of a messy start. Clean finish there in the end, and Cryptic was going to try and help him out, but the op of Fozy there, Fruit Cup falling as well. Freshie has to do it all alone, and he gets a second as well on the Stanislaw. Freshie still alive. Fozy through the smoke shuts down Darty. Freshie low HP spots Shadow, wins the duel. Freshie 1 versus 2, 1 versus 3 to a 1 versus 1. On for the ace. Can Freshie hold it out? Sonic, our player to watch for this matchup, has busted out towards A, got the bomb to go down. Play this 1 versus 1 against Freshie again on for the ace. A 1 versus 3 ace clutch for Freshie if he can do it. Spots the utility, knows the general positioning of Sonic. It's planted for him down ramp as well. Sonic going towards side hall. Freshie there, spots the body. Freshie, half damage, full damage. Freshie with the ace. 1 versus 3. Boss within 1. But their money will be shattered. Wildcard's plant will give them more to fight with as well. But Freshie keeping Boss in it here, up to 18 kills. And they are now within 1 round of Wildcard. Maybe a timeout here from Wildcard 2 or from Boss to calm things down.
That is 8 kills from Freshie in 2 rounds. We said the individuals need to wake up. One has at least at a critical moment. In fact, at such a critical moment that he's compelled a tactical timeout out of his opponents single-handedly. 18 kills for Freshie. And as I mentioned, a second tactical timeout from Wildcard, who are contemplating an investment. It looks like they're going to go for an investment. 2 Galils, a MAC-10, an AK for Sonic, and what will Susp be investing into? Probably a Galil armor.
Maybe a Mac.
Get a Mac if they need more utility, but I don't think they do. Never mind, they do. 8 to 9 though. This is a rather desperate force buy to try and bring themselves, or to keep themselves ahead, excuse me. Slight on the op as well for the CT side. Big boon to find from Fozy's body. I don't know if they actually found it on Fozy's body. He might have been invested. Only Freshie surviving. He actually bought the AK, so I'm mistaken. But an important round for both teams because they are both very low on cash.
This is a massive swing round, and that is a massively miffed nade. And you can't even call that an NA nade because it's the South African native and Sonic who tosses that one. Although he's essentially NA at this point. He's been here for how long? Slight! I think he moved a little bit. Also had to shoot through the bottom of the scaffolding. Trying to get that to work. Has utility in hand, and he's run down. The Molotov not going to ward off the push from Sonic. Cryptic out in the open, falling down as well. Freshie, though, coming through. Only 1. Up to Fruit Cup and Darty's MP9. Darty isolating. That's a good fight to stick with. If he tries to take out JBA, he probably loses both. Knows where he has the 1. JBA into a 1 versus 1 does not have the bomb, and Fruit Cup is rotating around, spots out, and wins the long-range duel against JBA, and the aim duel swinging back the way of Boss. The pendulum has shifted. A tie ball game and no bomb plant means a half buy for Wildcard. Boss again broke, but this is prime time to build the cash as they will try and get things back in here and take a lead, their first of the evening, late on Vertigo. The hour is late, and Freshie the Gray rides to Isengard.
He's gonna get the Gray, old and chiseled. Is the team's leader at this point. Pistols for Wildcard. A lot of Tech 9s, which can really run you down if you aren't weary. Deagle of Susp as well. Could be scary. Stanislaw on P250. Don't count him out. This round has teeth. Use for the op if not work. The MP9 only good for 1 on Freshie. Their top frag, their king on an SMG. Light gets 1, but he's run down by the pistols. Cryptic good for trades, though. Both tagged down by the opper. Just Stanislaw. P250 in a very niche angle. Players are lit, or that one was, I should say. It's the spot on the second as well, does some damage. Spots them both as well. Enough to get one-shot headshots now. 1 headshot secured. We took the deeper fight, not the one versus Cryptic. Expensive round. He said this was a chance for them to build up an economy. They aren't going to get that opportunity, but they will at least win it and establish a lead for the first time in this series, if I'm not mistaken.
You are not. It's Boss's first round of first lead of the night, and it comes in round 19. But the manner in which they gain it is far from ideal. They're by now worse than it was in the round prior. 3 MP9s this time, although they've actually had massive success with the MP9s, so it might not be a bad thing for Boss right now. Wildcard had the AKs out in full force. Light has that op again, but the easy shots are proving to be a little more difficult for Slight right now. Almost feels like he's second guessing and rushing some of those shots. And I hope for Slight's sake and for Boss, he can settle down. Also, somebody had to help Freshie out. He's 10 kills above his next nearest teammate. Meanwhile, Fozy and Stan 20 and 19. Sonic at 15. Susp at 12. The overall kill support has been there for Wildcard. Boss have somehow been able to eke out rounds where they might not exactly been getting a lot of kills in the rounds they've lost, but the ones they're winning, they're getting on off. Slight has 1 lineup for the MP9. Damage plus the kill. Nade will finish off that wounded player. Cryptic will fall, though. Susp and Stanislaw bringing this to a very winnable 2 versus 2. Fruit Cup, though, coming through that smoke, runs into Sus, and then ships around the smoke. Stanislaw strikes. Slight, op in hand. Knife out. They molly him out, and they go towards B. He's made noise, but there they go. I like that little double back from Slight, though, expecting a repeat, expecting somebody else. Looks up top, knows the fire, and now is to deal with both. General idea where both are. What a shot onto the first, onto Susp. Lightning quick from Slight. And now, maybe a little bit of sleight of hand to try and move around and outplay Stanislaw, the veteran, the longest tenured player in this server. Slight peeks right, or left, does not peek right. And tied up at 10 we are. No buy for Boss in this round. And Wildcard, the red carpet, to retake the lead in round 21. A collapse.
The rounds aren't clean. They aren't convincing. But when they're scrappy back and forth rounds, it definitely favors the T's. No doubt. Their economy's just more built for it. Boss using a tactical timeout into a save, honestly, makes sense at this kind of situation, at this point in the game, because they have 2 left. 2 left, and at most 4 rounds to play in regulation. Might as well use one now to talk things out, go for something wacky on this CT side. Not that wacky, though, Fruit Cup. An investment down to nothing. It's quite the call. Sticking with it as well. Wildcard. 3 Galils, 2 AKs, good utility. And 1 hero in Fruit Cup on Boss. Everyone else is saving. I'm not sure what the idea behind this investment is.
That Deagle, if it finds a kill or two, maybe it can salvage a rifle, but that would also require Boss being on the right site. And they're actually moving their way towards A now. There's a chance for some damage with the pistols. Definitely a very low percentage round to win, but you're just looking for damage. You're looking for guns. Maybe you can scale something positive out of it. And the flashbang enabling a prime opportunity on a JBA. Darty took way too long, but there's the Deagle from Fruit Cup. Now a man advantage. 2 kills for Fruit Cup. Sonic, Stanislaw trying to salvage the day. And Sonic sprays down 3 in a row. Looking for the last onto Slight, who picks up a Galil. And the low or the high HP Stanislaw keeping the low HP Sonic alive. The little 1-2 wombo combo around the ramp will get things to a wild card lead again, but Boss made it close and dangerous. Will be buying up again as well. Fruit Cup MP9, Fresh Famas, and Darty joins him in that regard. Cryptic M4, Slight Glass Cannon Op. His op has been starting to heat up in the last couple of rounds he's had it. Can't miss now. He got no armor. The aim punch will make life very difficult for Slight. This boss have made life very difficult for Wildcard in this map. But it all comes down to this round, really, and Slight kicks it off with a bang.
Solid start on the Stanislaw, the man atop the scoreboard. Slight repositioning, still holding middle as well. Wildcard gave up on the fancifulness. They've started playing together. Trying to go as utilitarian as possible. Cryptic on the headshot angle, crouching down, gets 1, and buys time for Slight to get another. Sonic, though, gets 2 in response, and Sus strikes from the back lines. Spot onto 1. Sonic spray nearly misses, but he connects it, and Sus also mops up the B site. A flurry of kills that go unanswered, and Wildcard do at long last get to their 12th. Boss. An economy in shambles, and at this point, they're trying to limp to overtime. They need 2 rounds in a row to get there.
Limp might be generous, Nate. If they can crawl on their hands and knees, claw their way to overtime, it would be an impressive result. Even now for Boss to come back from a 13-0 to a 13-10 or even 13-11 is still not a horrible result. But I think Boss will look back at this map and think it's winnable. Entirely winnable. That last round, they should have won it. Everything went right. The 2v2, even they had the advantage, and they couldn't win the duels. And at the end of the day, that might be what it comes down to for Boss, but they still have life. They still have one more chance here in round 23. MP9's no kit, the 5-7. But Boss hasn't really had to deal with defuses all too much in their victories either. They've either won via elimination or lost via elimination. And so, they'll try to get the drop on the wildcard rifles. We're playing very slow and methodical. Almost a little bit scared and trying to goad in Boss to early aggressive peaks, but Boss aren't going to give it to him. Except for Darty, who tries to take the side hall, or the yellow fight, backs away through side hall. And will escape with his life, but not much of it's left.
31 HP for the MP9 wielder. Wildcard will slowly get control of ramp, try to do something. Probably an A pop. They have enough utility to do so. Just throw the smokes and go. Boss are already up close and personal. Slight close all the way on the scaffolding. Cryptic's nade will tag down JBA substantially. He's at 13. Already below the crane, has a nice little angle. It's expected. It still works out quite a bit. The lit player between his first and gets a trade. Sonic as well. The spray transfers are impeccable. Slight finds a second or a first for himself before heading for the hills. But Stan drops Slight, leaving just Fruit Cup to clutch. He's got the 1, but not the second. A 1 versus 1 for Fozy goes his way. And this map is anything but convincing. But it is a victory nonetheless. Wildcard survive their bout with Boss and sweep both best of ones on the evening.
Survive is a good way to put it for Vertigo. That one way too close for comfort for Wildcard. They should have had that with lock and key done and dusted a while ago. But it took up until the penultimate round of regulation, and even that came down to the wire. 1 MP9 bullet separated Fozy and Death. And the fact, too, the Freshie 1 versus 3 ace clutch was nothing short of phenomenal to really kickstart Boss. Sonic, another great map for him. 93.65 DAR, 1.69 KDR, 22 and 13. A lot more assists this time, but a lot more rounds played as well. Almost double. But Sonic definitely did a lot of heavy lifting across both maps. Stanislaw, another standout, particularly on Vertigo.
Yeah, a lot of hero plays, a lot of individuals really shining in this one for Wildcard, more so than the last. In the last, everybody was doing their work. This round, it looked a lot flashier, a lot of spray transfers. You saw one in that last round for the likes of our player to watch, Sonic, and we saw one from Stanislaw in middle. A lot more multi-kills from Wildcard that simply could not be answered by Boss. And of course, the back and forth at the end simply favors Wildcard with them on the T side.
Yeah, the back and forth war of attrition favored Wildcard. Also, the sheer rifling ability of Stanislaw, Sonic, and Susp at the end was absolutely incredible. Stanislaw's spray transfer out in middle on his 4K round was phenomenal. Multiple times, multiple rounds, one individual of Wildcard would have a beautiful spray transfer or a couple really good quick duels that completely shifted the tide of the round back into their favor. And for Boss, an admirable effort, especially after getting battered on map 1, but they still couldn't close it out in the end. But a much better look from Boss, and I saw more signs of life from them in the end, which is a good thing. But Nate, overall, congratulations to Wildcard. They're a force to be reckoned with in North America. And for Boss, back to the drawing board, but things to work on and positive things to work on heading towards playoffs.
Heading towards playoffs and heading towards the RMR for both of these two teams. A lot of things to shore up. As you mentioned, I think the biggest thing was Wildcard's individuals. Both teams look scrappier on Vertigo. That's something they could both work on. But the first map of Ancient was a masterclass from Wildcard. Again, 13-0 there, 13-10 on Vertigo. Both go the way of Wildcard. But that is going to do it for our broadcast this evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Boggs and myself and the production crew, have a good night, and we will see you tomorrow, same time, same place, for some more ECL North American action. See you then.